Thanks for visiting my channel again. If you like this video, please don't forget to click the like button. So now, let's get started. This passenger liner is getting ready to leave full of passengers. Soon the liner begins sailing towards its destination. And soon after their departure, the liner began to fill with water, and there were thousands of people were trapped within it. Tohoku region, northeast of Honshu, Japan. Early 1900, home to 6 prefectures including Fukushima, Miyagi, Aomori, begin running a ferry from the start of 1900s to carry people over to Hokkaido in the north. The ferry line, which ran for 4 hours and 30 minutes through the Keane ferry route from Aomori to Hokkaido, used Toya Maru, a train ferry built by the Japanese National Railroad. September 1954, a sinking later known as the Titanic of Japan, happened at the Tsugaru Strait, which was a path that this Keane ferry route was a part of. Toya Maru, launched November of 1947, weighed 4,000 tons, measured 118 meters in length, and could hold over 1,000 guests. And before its sinking in 1954, it ferried countless people and trains across the islands. There was Typhoon 15 making a landing at the Kyushu region south of Japan, and according to meteorologists, it was rising north at the speed of 110 kilometers per second, so it was estimated to arrive at the Tsugaru Strait by 5 p.m. Toya Maru, having entered Hokkaido after leaving Aomori, was set to leave at 2:40 p.m. back to Aomori in order to return before the typhoon would hit around 12:40 p.m. But a freight ship headed to Aomori from Hokkaido reports tall waves and powerful winds. Thus 2 ships which were considered relatively small and lacking in durability were halted from leaving, and guests and vehicles atop those ships were all moved to Toya Maru. Around 3 p.m., due to movement of many passengers and vehicles, Toya Maru was running late, and due to power outage within Hokkaido, the movable bridge connecting the port and the ship for vehicle transport stopped and delayed departure to that evening. The power outage was recovered within 2 minutes, but since they had already announced the delay, the changed schedule remained. This 2-minute power outage would soon determine the fates of thousands of passengers aboard the ship. The Hokkaido meteorologists reported significantly slower wind speeds compared to earlier in the day. The captain of Toya Maru decided that the weather was suitable enough for the ship to sail, and announces that the ship will set sail around 5:40 p.m. 6:39 p.m. Toya Maru, having finally left for Aomori, was carrying about 1,314 people, including about 120 crewmen, and the further the ship went out to the sea, the wind was only strengthening. Around 7 p.m., Toya Maru was past the embankment and completely out of the port, yet it found itself in a suddenly strengthening wind. At this time, Sapporo meteorologists deliver the report that the typhoon was still rising within few kilometers. Eventually, Toya Maru could no longer continue in its intended direction due to high waves and strong winds, so it decided to lower the anchor and wait out until the waves would calm down. It was at that moment when seawater began flooding in through the weaker vehicle entrance deck to the front of the ship and flooded the boiler room and the engine room, which led to the steam engine coming to a halt. Toya Maru, now unable to move, decides to beach itself at Nanihama Sand Beach. Toya Maru, just a few kilometers away from the beach, was about 45 degrees leaning to its side. The railroad officials, having heard the report, headed to the scene with 4 ships of their own, but the high waves and strong wind prevented them from sailing. The ship eventually fell to its side, unable to withstand the waves which sunk Toya Maru 12 meters deep into the sea, and the hull of Toya Maru is almost completely keeled over, with its chimney stuck under the sea. The typhoon caused damages not only to Toya Maru, but also 8 other ships at the Hakodate port, most of which were either broken or severed, and some of them were sunk like Toya Maru was, which led to hundreds of casualties. There were about 1,130 cases of ship damages due to the typhoon, and a day after the incident, the investigation that started in September 27, 1954, determined that the captain's decision to leave the port and the flooding of most parts of the ship, including the engine room, as 2 of the primary causes of the ship's sinking. And in the following trial, the captain of Toya Maru was charged with accidental manslaughter, but it was also determined that the ship's structure and the shipping company's sailing administration were also causes of the incident. Some suggested that it was unfair to the late captain, who did not have a chance to explain himself, to be charged with manslaughter, and thus they agreed to not use the word professional negligence in cases in which the captain passed away during the incident. Thus Toya Maru was determined to have capsized not far from the 3rd seawall of Hakodate port, due to the back of the ship constantly touching the underwater sand, and leaning further and further to the side, with every powerful wave striking the ship, leading to the eventual sinking. One unfortunate fact is that, according to the weather report, during the power outage before the ship sailed, had the ship sailed at the right time, they would have arrived safely at Aomori. Thankfully, a rescue party was rapidly dispatched and saved 159 passengers out of 1,314 passengers, but 1,155 people all perished. Because of this incident, which is also known as the Titanic of Japan, there came to be numerous improvements to ship infrastructures, automation of the steam engine, and the construction of Keane Tunnel, connecting Aomori and Hokkaido 100 meters under the Tsugaru Strait and 53 kilometers in length. And Toya Maru was later recovered and broken up after an investigation, and the 15th typhoon was later named Typhoon Toya Maru. This case was later written and produced into various mystery novels and movies in Japan, and some elements of the case even became a part of a manga. The story continues to be told to this day. Thank you for watching until the end. If you have any opinion on the video, or have a topic you would like to watch, please leave them as a comment. Thank you.